Economy. That seems to be the major word that the politicians like throwing around, especially heading into this debate. And it's not without base. Economy is something that I believe everybody should at least have a basic understanding of. I'm Eddie Lopez, and in my economics class, we're learning about the theories that explain the behaviors of the economy. And pretty much my goal here today is to help you understand foundationally what it's all based off of. And what it's all based off of is this concept of supply and demand, which lives in this graph, which is the price of a product and the quantity of the product. And so if we explain it in terms of supply, if there's little money in the product, then there's not a lot to be made. And the more money that there is, well, the more product is going to be made. And inversely for demand, well, people are only going to be willing to pay more money if the product is scarce. But if there's a lot of the product, then people are not going to be paying that much money, just like wholesale, right? So the demand is going to decrease. So what this leads us is we have this intersection point, right? That's the obvious thing that points out to everyone, and it's the equilibrium point. This is where producers are going to make the most revenue, meaning at this point, and no more and no less, this is where producers are going to make the most money because it means that they have optimized their demand to their supply. That's pretty much what equilibrium is. And explaining it in a real world sense, we can look at two issues that were occurring in terms of shortages and surpluses. So nowadays, actually earlier in the year, we had this crisis with toilet paper. According to Kron, toilet paper demand shot up to 825%, and there were netting sales of $1.45 billion. So what that led to was, well, there was all of this demand, but so little supply relative to the demand. And that led to a shortage. There was a shortage of toilet paper. You couldn't get it anywhere, and it was this rare commodity now. However, it can work in other ways as well. Earlier this year, according to the Market Watcher, we had a surplus of oil. It got to the point where there was so much oil that you were literally being paid to have buckets of oil. For $37.63, you could have an entire tank of oil, and they would pay you to have it. And that kind of explains foundationally where everything is at. And when we're studying the economy, we don't want to be at a surplus, because that means we're making too much to sell. And we also want to be in a shortage, because that means we can't provide the maximum amount of sales because we don't have the product to sell, right? And so the equilibrium point is pretty much how the economy just kind of stabilizes. So in the grand scheme of things, the economy, it works in this way. And I think in a time of uncertainty, in a time of not knowing, I believe having just a little bit, adding a little bit to your knowledge will help you long ways into the future. Thank you.